I think like one of the stories I tell a lot is the first ever Congress tournament I went to. I was like in round, I was ready, I was locked in. And then I realized I left my speeches at home. So I stand up and I ask the judge, I'm like, I'm sorry, but I left my speeches. And the judge was like, too bad, sit down. So I was like, oh my God, I'm so scared. So I had to go up and like completely make up a speech for my first ever Congress speech. It was like, I was terrified. Like I was making up evidence, like I was trying to like stutter through the speech. It was kind of a rough time, but looking back, it was really funny. And like, I'm like, well, I guess it can't get any worse than that. So, yeah. Everyone, my name's Adrian Baek. I am a current staffer at Ascend, former nationally ranked debater, a student at Stanford, and also a former runner of 2 nonprofits. So I'm just here to talk a little bit about the role of public speaking in my life. I've always like been a big yapper. Like if you just meet me out somewhere, like I'm a huge extrovert. Like I love talking to people. So it wasn't really surprising when my parents recommended that I try speech and debate. So I actually went to like a tournament before I started debate just to see what it's like and watched a Congress round. And I actually really liked it. Like it seemed like something I wanted to do and something I wanted to like further my like expertise in, I guess. I thought it'd be a good way to make friends, to get better at talking about ideas. So that's kind of how it started, and it's a blur from there, but it's been a really awesome journey. My parents are the ones who kind of discovered it and introduced it to me. I really didn't hear about the event before my parents. But yeah, they kind of gave me the opportunity to like go test out the water, see what it's like, which is why I went to the tournament. And yeah, I really liked it, so I told them I wanted to do it further. So yeah, I kind of started from there, I'd say. Despite like the rough start, I think I really enjoyed Congress specifically because it was a combination of like both debate and speech. I feel like it just seems like a realistic event to me. Like when I hear about like other events, or at least when I heard about them before, I kind of just like didn't think they'd be as applicable in the real world. But like the reason I joined debate was to learn skills that I thought would like carry over outside of competitions. And I thought like Congress would be the best one for that because I have to learn how to make logical arguments, I have to learn how to speak well, and I also have to learn about current issues. So I just thought it'd be the most useful for me to stay in. I think one of the most underrated aspects of public speaking, more than even just like teaching you how to say things, it also gives you the confidence to speak up. I think like one of the biggest piece of advice that like I give high schoolers is like, honestly, if you just take the initiative to ask about something, you can go so far with different activities. So like, for example, I ran 2 nonprofits in high school. One of them focused on creating like an SAT website where I offered free tutoring to kids. Another one was like a free educational resource program where I taught debate and academic services to students. And the way these programs started was like me just asking one of my teachers like if they'd be willing to advise for me if I made a club, and finding students and like kind of having the courage to ask if they'd want to tutor and want to start this program. And they started off really small, and it really just started with me having the courage to speak up. But over time, they were able to grow and grow as I found more people that were interested, as I formed connection with schools. And I feel like I really wouldn't have been able to do that if it wasn't for debate. And that confidence also served me a lot when building relationships with teachers, like having the confidence to just like be myself and express myself, and also like even like speaking up against decisions in the school that I might not even agree with. Like for example, during my senior year in high school, they tried to cancel our school's Latin program. By that time, I'd been in that program for like 3 years, and like I absolutely love our Latin teacher. Like she's like, everyone loves her at the school. And they tried to cancel her program for no reason at all. So we like advocated at school board meetings, we organized like grassroots campaigns, and we actually saved the program, and it still exists at the school. So I think like just having that courage to speak up can like really be the starting point for things that are amazing in the future. To be completely honest, like I would not have had any of my college acceptances if it wasn't for like debate. My entire application was framed around the idea of like, I want to become someone who doesn't just like speak about issues, but uses their voice to actively make a change. I connected it a lot to my nonprofit work, my volunteering, my advocacy. So yeah, like my speech and debate work was like the foundation for like my entire admissions process. I think especially these days, there's definitely like a very big pressure to like go the STEM route, right? Like become a CS major or like make a startup and do all these things. But I think the reason colleges really value public speaking as a skill is because like no matter what skill or area you go into, like even if you do go into STEM, like public speaking is something that will matter, right? Like whether you are a software engineer or you are a member of Congress, right? You need to be able to voice your opinions actively in a job, with your friends, in any situation to be successful in life. So I think like no matter what field you go into, like having the ability to speak well is something that like any college will value. And colleges are looking for students that are gonna actively make an impact for their school and for the world in the future. And they know that being a good speaker is something that can really play an active role in that. My public speaking skills have helped so much while I'm at Stanford, because something that I've noticed is like, even when you go to a very prestigious institution like Stanford, some people have the misconception that you're just gonna have things handed to you. But to be honest, like even though like there's an amazing network around you, you still have to like have the initiative to go look for it. So I'd say like I've used my public speaking skills a lot to like form connections. Like to be honest, like some of my like favorite opportunities that I've engaged in during the year have just come from like starting conversations. I met a mentor in class. She ran a couple nonprofits in the New Jersey area. She serves as a school consultant. After talking to her, like she connected me to so many people that I engage with to this day. She helped me find like a research partner. I work at one of the labs at Stanford that does a lot of research into early childhood development. I've also developed connections with like a lot of education policy organizations like the Learning Policy Institute, because teaching is one of my biggest passions. But I would have never found these things if it really wasn't for my public speaking. It's like being able to genuinely express yourself and talk about the things you want to do is really important in forming these connections. And yeah, I think I like continue to value from public speaking as I like do more nonprofit work. I'm working on a nonprofit called Cognify. Basically the concept behind it is teaching kids entrepreneurship and how to form projects at a young age. And we were able to secure approval to run a pilot program at an actual school district next year. And that was only possible after we gave a pitch. And I think if I didn't have my public speaking skills, that pitch would have gone a lot poorly compared to how it actually went. And yeah, like even at Stanford, I feel like a lot of people can definitely benefit from having the ability to speak well. Because there's a lot of people out there that, even at Stanford, that just like bury themselves in their work and that's all they do. But I think like that kind of limits them from finding all the connections and all the perspectives they can. And I think one of my favorite parts of being at a place like Stanford is like being able to engage with people with so many different opinions, hearing their perspectives, hearing their worldviews. And I think that's really hard to do, if not impossible, unless you have the public speaking skills to directly engage with it. I think I've always kind of had this passion for education, but it took me a while to discover it. I think I discovered it actually like early in my freshman year at college, but the first like example that I thought back to was back in high school. Like I'd always like be the friend who always gives their like friends like a 5-minute overview of like something before the test starts. So like people would always crowd around and I'd always explain stuff, and I always had a lot of fun doing that. And then actually teaching at Ascend was one of the big things that taught me that like teaching was something that I really enjoyed doing as well. Like transitioning from a competitor to a coach and having the opportunity to like form connections with kids and watch them learn has been really fulfilling. So yeah, like I think education's a really big part of what I want to do in my future. I'm minoring in it at Stanford. I'm part of a lot of clubs and organizations that are education focused. Last year, for example, I worked with a club called Cardinal Policy Group. We partnered with a nonprofit and the California government to research school-based health centers and how kind of youth well-being and education is really, really important. And it's just something that I'm going to continue working towards. I think in the future, I'm not exactly sure what I want to do yet, but I think having some role in education administration, like maybe becoming a superintendent one day, or maybe starting my own business in education and making sure that teaching and effective academics is something that's accessible to everyone, maybe through business. These are just some routes I've been considering, but I definitely want to stay in the realm where I can help teaching become an accessible tool for everyone. Like, I think people can sense your authenticity, and to even like get to a point where you can form connections with other people, it really comes down to just like being yourself. Don't try to be like someone else. Don't try to put up an act. I think like one of the pure essence of like public speaking is just being yourself and like being comfortable with who you are as a person and embracing that when talking to other people. And I think the second thing that connects to that is never be afraid to ask for help and ask for guidance, right? You'll be surprised at how often and how willing people are to just be there and be a helping hand, the only thing that's really limiting you is asking. And so many people are scared to reach out to that professor that they wanted to talk to during office hours, or that friend or faculty that you really want to start a project with. But I understand that fear. I have those fears too, like, trust me. But more often than not, I realize that once you actually start talking, those fears are very misplaced. So be genuine and be confident that people are out there to help you, and reach out. One of the most important things to do is you've almost got to accept that setbacks and maybe even failures are a part of the process. I think I used to have a pretty big fear of failure. I used to be a pretty big perfectionist, and I'm like, oh, I need to make sure my speech is perfect at all times. I'm not going to stutter here. I'm going to fluctuate this way. But pretty early on into debate, like literally after that first speech where I just didn't have anything when I was speaking, I realized that, like, failure is part of the process. I think to kind of get over this fear of failure, it really comes down to accepting and almost embracing the fact that struggles are going to be inevitable, and that when you are struggling, you can recognize it and be, oh, I'm doing the right thing. Even though this sucks right now, I am doing the right thing, and this struggle is a sign that I'm doing the right thing. So embrace failure, keep going when you face it, and always trust and recognize that when you emerge from whatever struggle you're facing, you'll truly come out a stronger person.